The merchant's disguise, the cargo vessel Stellar Wanderer, drifted through the void between star systems, its hull scarred by countless journeys through asteroid fields and meteor showers. Paint peeled from its sides in long strips, revealing the dull grey metal beneath. To any observer, it looked like exactly what it claimed to be: a tired old freight hauler carrying supplies to the outer colonies. Nothing more, nothing less. Captain Alina Vasquez stood at the bridge's central console, her dark eyes scanning the star charts displayed on the main screen. At 42, she had the weathered look of someone who had spent decades in space. Her black hair was pulled back in a practical ponytail, and her hands bore the calluses of hard work. She wore a simple blue jumpsuit with the logo of Interstellar Freight Solutions, a company that existed only in carefully maintained government databases. "Captain, we're approaching the Titan Belt System," announced Marcus Chen from the navigation station. The young man's fingers danced across his controls with practiced ease. His Asian features were sharp and intelligent, though he carried himself with the casual air of a civilian pilot. "ETA to the mining colonies is 6 hours at current." "Velocity," Alina nodded, but something nagged at her. The space around them felt different somehow, charged with tension she couldn't quite identify. "Dr. Kim, run a full sensor sweep. Something doesn't feel right." Dr. Sarah Kim looked up from her communications array, tucking a strand of auburn hair behind her ear. Her green eyes held a sharpness that seemed out of place for a simple "come officer." "Already on it, Captain. I'm picking up some unusual readings about 2 light hours ahead of us." The main display flickered and changed, showing a tactical overview of the space around the Titan belt. Elena's blood ran cold as she saw what awaited them. 15 massive vessels hung in formation around the mining colonies, their sleek black hulls bristling with weapon arrays. Each ship was easily 10 times the size of the Stellar Wanderer. "Krekstar Imperial Fleet," whispered Chief Engineer Torres from his station near the back of the bridge. The stocky man with graying temples had gone pale. "What are they doing this far into human space?" Alina studied the alien formation with growing alarm. The Krekstar were a militaristic species that had been expanding their territory for decades. Their ships were known throughout the galaxy for their devastating firepower and the ruthless efficiency of their crews. They had never ventured this deep into human territory before. "Dr. Kim, can you intercept their communications?" Alina asked. Sarah's fingers flew over her controls, and within moments, harsh alien voices filled the bridge. The Krekstar language was all clicking consonants and guttural sounds that hurt human ears, but Sarah's face grew increasingly troubled as she listened. "Captain," she said quietly, "they're not here for territorial expansion. They're planning something called a cleansing operation. They intend to sterilize every human colony in this system." Marcus turned from his station, his face grim. "There are over 200,000 people on those mining platforms, families, children, elderly colonists who have nowhere else to go." Alina felt the familiar weight of command settling on her shoulders. She had carried this burden before, though her crew didn't remember when. "Open a channel to the Krekstar fleet," she ordered. The main screen flickered, and suddenly they were looking at the bridge of the alien flagship. Admiral Zethkal dominated the display, his reptilian features twisted in contempt. The stood nearly 8 feet tall, his scaled hide a deep purple that marked him as nobility among his kind. Bony ridges ran along his skull, and his yellow eyes glowed with predatory intelligence. "Human vessel," Zethkal's voice came through the translator with mechanical precision. "You are trespassing in a restricted zone. Depart immediately or face." The consequences. Alina kept her voice steady and respectful. Admiral, this is Captain Vasquez of the civilian vessel Stellar Wanderer. We're carrying emergency medical supplies to the mining colonies. We request safe passage. Zethkal's laugh was like grinding stone. Medical supplies. How pathetic. Your primitive species clings to life so desperately. He leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. Very well, human. You may pass, but stay clear of our operations. We have important work to do here. The transmission cut abruptly, leaving the bridge in tense silence. Alina stared at the tactical display, her mind racing. The Krekstar formation was perfect for orbital bombardment. They would reduce the colonies to ash within hours, and there was nothing to stop them. The nearest Earth Defense Force patrol was weeks away. Captain, Marcus said quietly, we have to do something. We can't just watch them murder innocent people. Alina turned to face her crew, seeing the determination in their eyes. They were good people, all of them. They had joined the Merchant Marine to see the galaxy, not to fight wars. But sometimes the universe demanded more than anyone was prepared to give. There's something I need to tell you all, Alina said. Something about this ship, and about us. She walked to what appeared to be a standard environmental control panel and pressed her palm against it. The panel flashed, recognizing her biometric signature, and suddenly the bridge began to transform. Hidden panels slid open, revealing military-grade equipment that had been concealed for years. Tactical displays emerged from the walls, weapon. Control stations rose from the floor, and the worn civilian consoles were replaced by state-of-the-art command interfaces. The crew stared in shock as their familiar workplace became something entirely different. The Stellar Wanderer was shedding its disguise like a butterfly emerging from its cocoon. The Stellar Wanderer isn't a cargo ship, Alina explained, her voice taking on the authority of a military commander. She's a prototype weapons platform, part of a classified Earth Defense Force program called Project Trojan Horse. We've been hiding military assets in civilian disguises throughout human space. Marcus looked at his transformed navigation station, now displaying tactical information he somehow knew how to read. But Captain, I don't understand. I remember being a civilian pilot. I remember my training at the Commercial Flight Academy. Elena's expression softened. Those memories are real, Marcus, but they're not complete. You volunteered for this mission 2 years ago, knowing the risks. We all did. Our original memories were suppressed and replaced with civilian backgrounds to protect the mission's secrecy. Dr. Kim was staring at her communications array, which now showed encryption protocols and military frequencies she instinctively understood. I'm not just a communications officer. I'm a xenolinguist with Earth Defense Intelligence. I've been studying Krekstar military doctrine for years. The memory blocks are dissolving now that we're going into combat, Alina continued. Chief Torres, what do you see when you look at your engineering station? Torres examined his controls with growing amazement. These aren't cargo bay environmental systems. They're weapon charging matrices and power distribution networks. Captain, we're sitting on enough firepower to level a small moon. Alina nodded grimly. The Krekstar think they're facing a helpless merchant vessel. They have no idea what humanity is truly capable of. We've been preparing for this day for decades, ever since we realized that some species view us as inferior. The main display showed the alien fleet beginning to move into bombardment position around the colonies. Admiral Zethkal's ships were massive and powerful, but they were also arrogant. They showed no concern for a single human cargo hauler. Dr. Kim, Alina ordered, begin jamming their communications. I want them isolated from each other and from their high command. Marcus, plot an intercept course that brings us within weapons range of their flagship. Chief Torres, bring all systems online. The bridge hummed with activity as the crew worked. With skills they were rediscovering, Alina watched the tactical display as the Stellar Wanderer's true nature revealed itself. What had appeared to be cargo bays were actually weapon pods containing experimental railguns and plasma cannons. The ship's seemingly outdated engines were actually advanced fusion drives capable of incredible acceleration. "Captain," Marcus reported, "I'm reading massive energy signatures from our own ship. The Krekstar sensors must be detecting them too." On the main screen, they could see the alien fleet beginning to react. Several ships were turning toward the Stellar Wanderer, their weapon systems charging. Admiral Zethkal's face appeared on the display again, his expression now showing the first hints of uncertainty. "Human vessel, you will explain these energy readings immediately," he demanded. Alina smiled for the first time since entering the system. It was not a pleasant expression. "Admiral, allow me to introduce myself properly. I'm Commander Elena Vasquez, Earth Defense Force, Special Operations, and you've just made a very serious mistake." The transformation was complete. The Stellar Wanderer had become something the Krekstar had never seen before, a human warship designed specifically to exploit their overconfidence and tactical blindness. The aliens had dismissed humanity as primitive and weak, and now they were about to learn the price of that arrogance. "All stations report ready for combat," Alina announced. "Let's show these aliens what happens when they threaten our people." The reckoning Admiral Zethkal stared at the human vessel on his display, his yellow eyes narrowing to slits. The energy readings from the small ship were impossible. No human technology could generate that kind of power signature, yet the evidence was right there on his sensors, painting the Stellar Wanderer in colors that suggested it was anything but a helpless cargo hauler. "Weapons Master Kethva," he growled to his second-in-command, "explain to me how a primitive human ship is showing power levels that rival our own dreadnoughts." The smaller Krekstar officer's scales had turned pale with confusion. "Admiral, our sensors must be malfunctioning. No human vessel possesses such capabilities. Perhaps they are running some kind of industrial equipment." Zethkal's claws extended as his anger grew. "Then destroy them and end this mystery. All ships, target the human vessel and fire at will." But even as he gave the order, doubt crept into his mind. In all his years of conquest, he had learned to trust his instincts. And right now, those instincts were screaming that something was terribly wrong aboard the Stellar Wanderer. Commander Elena Vasquez watched the Krekstar fleet begin to turn toward her ship. 15 massive warships, each one capable of glassing a planet, were preparing to focus their combined firepower on her position. Any sane person would have fled, but Alina had stopped being sane the moment she learned about the planned genocide of human colonies. "Dr. Kim, are their communications still jammed?" she asked. Sarah Kim nodded, her fingers dancing over controls that felt both foreign and familiar. "Complete blackout, Commander. They can't coordinate with each other or call for reinforcements. Each ship is operating independently." "Excellent. That gives us the tactical advantage we need." Alina turned to Marcus Chen. "Marcus, remember your training. We're going to use the Hydra Protocol. Plot a course that takes us through their formation. Maximum acceleration." Marcus's eyes widened as suppressed memories flooded back. The Hydra. Protocol was a theoretical battle plan that had never been tested in real combat. It required splitting the attention of multiple enemy vessels while systematically destroying them one by one. It was considered nearly impossible to execute successfully. "Commander, that maneuver requires precise timing and perfect coordination," he said. "If we're even a few seconds off, they'll tear us apart." Elena's smile was cold as winter. "Then we won't be off. Chief Torres, bring the primary weapons online. Let's show these aliens what human engineering can accomplish." The transformation of the Stellar Wanderer accelerated. What had appeared to be simple cargo bay doors now revealed themselves as weapon ports. Massive railgun barrels extended from the ship's hull, their surfaces gleaming with electromagnetic field generators. Plasma cannon arrays rotated into position, their cores already beginning to glow with contained stellar fire. The ship's engines, which had been running at barely 20% capacity, suddenly roared to life. The Stellar Wanderer leaped forward with acceleration that would have pancaked an unprotected human crew. But Elena and her team were far from unprotected. Their seats were equipped with inertial dampeners, and their bodies had been conditioned through years of high-G training. "First target is the lead destroyer," Elena announced, studying the tactical display. "It's moving to intercept us. Marcus, bring us in, fast and low, using their own ship as cover from the others." The Krekstar destroyer was a kilometer of sleek death, its hull bristling with weapon emplacements. It moved to block the Stellar Wanderer's path, confident that its massive size and firepower would quickly end the threat. Captain Vextal, the destroyer's commander, had personally killed over 50 enemy vessels in his career. He looked forward to adding a human ship to his collection. "Human vessel is approaching at incredible speed," his tactical officer reported. "They're moving far faster than our intelligence suggested was possible." Vextal's mandibles clicked with amusement. Desperation makes even prey animals dangerous. Target their engines and disable them. The Admiral will want to question the survivors. But as the destroyer's weapons locked onto the Stellar Wanderer, something unexpected happened. The human ship didn't try to evade or flee. Instead, it dove straight at the Krekstar vessel, its railguns charging to full power. "Impact in 30 seconds, the tactical officer announced. "Shall I fire?" "Not yet," Vextal replied. "Let them come closer. I want to see the fear in their eyes when they realize their mistake." He would never get the chance. At a distance of 10 kilometers, the Stellar Wanderer opened fire. The railgun projectiles launched at 15% of light speed, crossing the space between ships in less than a blink. They struck the destroyer's forward shields with the force of nuclear weapons, overloading the defensive systems in milliseconds. The second volley punched through the hull like needles through paper. The destroyer's fusion reactors went critical, and the massive vessel simply ceased to exist in a flash of artificial starlight. "Impossible," whispered Admiral Zethkal as he watched his lead destroyer die. "No human weapon can penetrate our shields." But the Stellar Wanderer was already moving to its next target. Marcus Chen had plotted a course that used the expanding debris field of the destroyed ship as cover, masking their approach from the remaining fleet. The human vessel darted between the wreckage like a shark among minnows, its weapons seeking new prey. The second target was a heavy cruiser that had been moving to support the destroyer. Its captain, seeing his comrade's fate, immediately began evasive maneuvers. But the Stellar Wanderer was too fast, too agile. It matched every turn, every acceleration, staying just outside the cruiser's optimal firing range, while systematically destroying its weapon systems. Dr. Kimelina called out, Patch me through to the cruiser's bridge. Let's see if we can end this without more bloodshed. Sarah's hands flew over her controls, and moments later, the face of a terrified Krekstar captain appeared on the main screen. His purple scales had turned almost white with fear. Krekstar vessel, this is Commander Vasquez, Alina said calmly. You have exactly 30 seconds to surrender and evacuate your ship. After that, I'm going to destroy you. The alien captain's voice came through the translator as a high-pitched whine. This is impossible. Humans don't have weapons like this. You're using some kind of trick. 20 seconds, Alina replied. We surrender. We surrender. The captain screamed. Don't shoot. We're launching escape pods. Alina nodded to Marcus, who adjusted their course away from the cruiser. She had no desire to kill unnecessarily, but she also couldn't allow the ship to remain a threat to the colonies. All right, we'll accept your surrender, she said. But if any of your remaining ships target the escape pods, I'll consider our agreement void. The cruiser's crew abandoned ship with desperate haste, their escape pods scattering like seeds in a stellar wind. Alina watched them go, feeling a mixture of satisfaction and sadness. These beings had come here to commit genocide, but they were still living creatures with families and dreams. Admiral Zethkal's voice cut through the bridge speakers, filled with rage and disbelief. Commander Vasquez, you will explain how you acquired these weapons. Alina turned to face the main screen, where the Admiral's furious visage glared at her. Admiral, I'll be happy to explain. But first, you need to order your remaining ships to withdraw from this system immediately. I will do no such thing, Zethkal roared. The Krekstar Empire does not negotiate with inferior species. Then you'll share the fate of your lead destroyer. Alina replied calmly. Chief Torres, target the flagship's shield generators. Let's give the Admiral something to think about. The Stellar Wanderer's plasma cannons spoke, their concentrated fire striking the massive flagship's defensive systems. The shields flared and died, leaving the ship vulnerable to direct assault. But Alina held her fire, giving the Admiral one last chance to reconsider. Your shields are down, Admiral, she announced. Your communications are jammed. Your fleet is scattered and demoralized. You came here to exterminate my people, but instead, you're about to watch your own forces be destroyed by a single human vessel. How does that feel? Zethkal's claws scraped against his command chair as he struggled to maintain his composure. You cannot defeat us all, human, even if you destroy my flagship. The others will continue the mission. Will they? Alina asked. Dr. Kim, open a channel to the entire Krekstar fleet. Let's see how committed they are to their Admiral's cause. Sarah's hands moved over her controls, and suddenly the voices of the remaining Krekstar captains filled the bridge. They were arguing among themselves, their confidence shattered by the destruction of their lead ships. The humans have weapons we've never seen before. Our intelligence was completely wrong. Perhaps we should withdraw and report this to the High Command. Alina smiled as she listened to their panic. You hear that, Admiral? Your own captains are questioning the wisdom of this attack. They're starting to realize that humanity isn't as primitive as your empire believed. The tactical display showed the remaining Krekstar ships beginning to spread out, their formation breaking down as individual captains made their own decisions about whether to fight or flee. The unity of the fleet was crumbling. Your choices are simple, Alina continued. Withdraw now and live to report what you've learned, or stay and be destroyed. Either way, the human colonies will be protected. Admiral Zethkal stared at her for a long moment, his pride warring with his survival instincts. Finally, his shoulders sagged in defeat. All ships, withdraw to the outer system. We will reconsider our position. Alina nodded. A wise decision, Admiral and Admiral. When you report back to your superiors, make sure they understand that humanity is no longer hiding. We're done being underestimated. As the Krekstar fleet began its retreat, Alina turned. To her crew, they had done something incredible today, something that would reshape the balance of power in the galaxy. But more importantly, they had saved hundreds of thousands of innocent lives. Dr. Kim, send a message to the colonies. Tell them the threat has passed. Chief Torres, begin charging the jump engines. We need to get back to Earth Command and report what happened here. Marcus looked up from his station, his face still showing amazement at what they had accomplished. Commander, do you think they'll really stay away? Alina smiled as she watched the alien ships disappear into the distance. The Krekstar Empire has ruled through fear and intimidation for centuries. Today, they learned that humanity refuses to be intimidated. That knowledge will spread throughout the galaxy, and when it does, everything will change. The Stellar Wanderer had begun this journey as a disguised cargo ship. It would end it as the herald of a new age, one where humanity would no longer hide its strength. The age of human weakness was over. The age of human resolve had begun.